Smells. They trigger specific memories, evoke feelings, or impact our well-being. We all know that. At BASF in Ludwigshafen, however, certain noses have to do jobs that are quite a bit different. Aaron, a 6-year-old German Shepherd, has one of the best noses of them all. Jennifer Gimbel is a service dog handler at BASF's site security. Her 4-legged partner is one of 13 animals in the dog squad.
For
us, the nose is very important, especially during our night shifts or when alarms go off at internal or external buildings and we get our dog out. You see, the dog comes out of the car and tries to pick up a fresh scent, something we humans just can't do. Dogs smell skin, smell hair, smell exactly how recently soil or grass have been trampled on, which is something we can't do. He can tell you exactly where someone has walked last. For instance, if a perpetrator is inside a building or if he ran to the right and will come out from the left, the dog can smell all of that, something we cannot see with our naked eye.
Der Hund, Aaron, sitzt. Der Hund bringt natürlich auch.
This also has the immense advantage of scaring off trespassers or other unauthorized people. He's like a partner, and we all know from experience that when you see a dog, you calm down much faster, you speak friendlier because you are afraid.
Ist man, sag ich jetzt mal, rein vom Gefühl her auch mal schneller wieder runtergefahren. Man redet ganz freundlich.
But our dogs are trained for such situations to respond appropriately and to not get excited without reason.
Und nicht unnötig quasi hochfahren.
Training a dog takes about 12 to 15 months. A minimum of 6 months basic training is completed with the first exam covering searching and finding hidden objects, as well as behavior during an identity check. A second exam gets down to business, not only for the nose, but for the whole snout. The dog knows when I'm being attacked, and then he is allowed to defend me, even bite the attacker. But when I say aus, he stands down. Jennifer Gimbel and Aaron are not only together on the job, but also at home, and her German Shepherd's nose can also be useful in her private life. There's no better and more trustworthy companion to have with you on the job and at home than a dog. He spends time with you at home and here. He's always by your side, and even on a bad day, and a dog isn't put off by that like people are. By the way, his nose came in quite handy 2 days ago when I lost my cell phone case in the woods, and he found it for me. Marcel Moos, on the other hand, has to make do without a friendly canine helper. The 45-year-old works in environmental monitoring, be it here at headquarters, at production facilities, or in the city. Wherever specific odors are reported, he is the man for the job. How important is a good nose in his line of work?
Sehr wichtig.
Very important, because it leads me in the direction I have to investigate, which production facility I have to approach, or which actions I have to take in case it's a hazardous substance. Sometimes it's fecal smells, for example, at water treatment plants, and sometimes it is a sweet or pleasant smell, or a caustic smell. These are the most common smells we encounter here at BASF. Odor emissions have been reduced in the production facilities of BASF dramatically over the last few years, thanks to technical measures implemented. This makes it more challenging for environmental monitoring to pick up the odor plumes, and that makes training and regular practice even more important. It is your own previous experience that counts before you even start here. Your experience from production facilities where you typically come in contact with the chemicals. Here, we have an odor library where you can find various BASF substances to help train your nose, because every substance has its own distinct smell. And here, we have something new. Our new Library 4.0, a real highlight where you can either separate specific mixed substances into their components or smell specific individual substances. In the old odor library, the substances were already there in a certain concentration. With the new odor library, I can add several components exactly the way I want them and inject this mix into the device and then separate them in various degrees of dilution. Every substance smells a little different. When it's warm, or if there's only a little or a lot of it in the air, then it sometimes becomes a little unpleasant. These are the things that I can simulate and train my nose with.
Und hierdurch meine Nase trainieren kann.
By the way, the odor library is a gas chromatograph with a sniffing apparatus. It doesn't carry Chanel No. 5, but in the real world, Marcel Mousse could easily pass for a perfume maker.
Also ich muss feststellen, seit ich bei
Yes,
der
since working at environmental monitoring, I can easily smell a new perfume on my wife. That amazes her. Did you smell that? And I say, yes, it's very light, pleasant. It is one of the largest wine cellars in Europe. More than 2,000 different bottles of wine are stored here. And these two know their way around wines like nobody else. Roman Goldstein and his nose. As a wine sommelier, his nose plays a very important part.
Das ist das wichtigste Komponent.
Yes, that's the most important component, I think. Nose and tongue, of course, since tasting, smelling, seeing are the things we do daily. So when it's about smells, I have to be able to identify if the wine is flawed or not, if I can vouch for its quality, and then serve it to the guest. Whether it's positive or negative, I'll leave that question untouched because some people don't like certain smells, and I don't decide what is positive or negative, but I decide what is there. And on the basis of its aromas, I recommend which wine goes with which course of a meal because I think it should match the smell and the aroma in our food and also the components of the wine, its acids, alcohol, tannins, and sweetness. The 35-year-old sommelier starts his mornings by putting the wines on the day's menu. And then off he goes into the cellar to find the wines and bring them upstairs. In the restaurant, they undergo rigorous testing. Swirled for a good time and then sniffed with their strengths and weaknesses before being noted down. Next stop, everything is talked over again with the chef or the service manager and checked once again. Tasting is also a part of the process. If something doesn't match, you start all over again. It's the little things that make up a sommelier's recommendation. It always depends on the wine. Is it of high quality and complexity, meaning the more work people put into it, let's say if it has been aged on the lees for a long time or in wood barrels, the more aroma you will
Immer
find.
mehr Aromastoffe dazu.
But how does he rate his own nose? Does he have a good sense of smell?
Ja, kommt drauf.
Yes, well, it depends on who's sitting with me. Let's just say if I'm with my mentors, then of course I'll say no, because I'm aware of who I'm talking to and they are way up in the major leagues. But talking to amateurs or sommelier colleagues, I would say yes.
Der eigenen Sommelier-Weinwelt mit Kollegen.
I don't want to sound arrogant, but otherwise I wouldn't be here where I am today.
Sonst wäre ich nicht da heute, wo ich bin, ja.
By the way, on his first visit, Roman Goldstein got lost in the cavernous depth of the BASF wine cellar and had to use his phone to call for rescue. That, of course, does not happen anymore. It's not simply a job for him, but a matter of the heart and a passion that is with him in his private life as well.
Nee, man merkt es auch im Alltag.
Well, I notice it in my everyday life too. When I go to the flower shop, or walk along some farms, or across a county fair, I'm always aware of the many smells, positive or negative, around me. So you might say I've turned my profession into a hobby. It's also connected to my holidays, which I spend in wine-growing regions. So you could say I match up my hobby with my holidays, and the good thing is that where wine is grown, it is also warm and a vacation region, be it Tuscany or Australia or the south of France.
Frankreich im Süden.
3 people and a dog. 3 completely different jobs, but one thing in common. It's their sense of smell that makes them indispensable.
BASF. We create chemistry.